Good afternoon, 6th grade. It is Friday, May 1st. Holy cow, guys. We are in a new month already. We are in May, almost the end of the school year. And at the time of this recording, the Department of Education has not yet told us when we could go back. It's supposed to be May 4th, so at the time of this recording, I'm hoping I will get to see you guys May 4th. It may change, but I'm hoping to see you guys soon. I hope you've been able to keep up with these videos and learn from these lessons. I try to make these informative as possible. I know it's hard for us to kind of banter back and forth with humor when y'all aren't here and I'm staring into a camera, but I truly do miss you guys and gals, and I hope y'all are enjoying class even having to do it this way. So we're going to be in Chapter 18, Nations of South America. Today's reading is just from page 323 to 325, and we'll do comp check 18A, questions 1 through 3. So we're going to learn about the individual countries today. We're not going to read this little side thing on the left that's asking questions. We're going to start right on the right side of page 323. We're going to learn about Peru, Ecuador, and Bolivia today. So Thomas, hopefully if I get to come back into the classroom, you might have some more stuff that you want to add to this lesson about Peru. I know that you talk about it all the time in class, and I'm wishing you were here with me to do this class, because you and Abby and everybody else in class would always have something to throw in at this class. I'm sure Christian would have something awesome to contribute, Lucy, Riley, Dashel, everybody in class that I didn't name. I really do miss you guys, but let's get through this today so you can enjoy your awesome weekend. Peru, land of the Incas. The Andes Mountains run through the center of Peru, South America's third largest country west of the Andes. The coastlands of Peru and Chile form the Atacama Desert, one of the driest regions in the world. East of the Andes, thick rainforest and jungles dominate the landscape. Peru has one of the world's largest commercial fishing industries and is a leading producer of copper, lead, silver, and zinc. Valuable hardwoods thrive in the tropical rainforest, yet in spite of these valuable resources, most Peruvians are poor. Almost half of Peru's population is Indian. More Indians live in Peru than in any other country in the world. The Indian population of Peru makes up more than 1/5 or 20% of the total Indian population of the entire Western Hemisphere. It is easy to see why Peru has two official languages, Spanish and Quechua. Quechua, the language of the Incas, is the most common Indian language spoken in Peru. It became an official language in 1975. Peru's capital, Lima, is located on the Pacific coast. It is Peru's largest and busiest city, and with its colonial-style buildings, it is also one of South America's most picturesque or beautiful cities. The University of San Marcos, the oldest university in South America, was founded there in 1551. Probably the most famous city in Peru is Cusco, located in the Andes of southern Peru at an altitude of 11,207 feet. Cusco was the thriving capital of the Inca Empire for more than 300 years. In 1533, Francisco Pizarro took over the city, and in 1650, an earthquake nearly destroyed Cusco. After the earthquake, the city was rebuilt and became famous for its production of art, particularly paintings, sculptures, and ornamental woodwork. Today, tourists visit many of its ancient ruins. The Inca built many religious sites, the most famous of which is Machu Picchu, a well-preserved mountain city that was hidden from outsiders until 1911. This lost city is believed to have been built to honor the Inca sun god and is considered the most spectacular ruins in the Americas. Now let's look at Ecuador. Part of the old Inca Empire is now the country of Ecuador, which lies just north of Peru. Many Ecuadorian Indians also speak Quechua, the language of the Incas, or other Indian languages that have very little contact with city dwellers. The name Ecuador is Spanish for equator. The equator passes just 15 miles north of Quito, Ecuador's capital. Quito is Ecuador's second largest city and has been its capital since 1822. It is the oldest of all the South American capitals. Quito is located 9,350 feet above sea level on the lower slopes of the Pinchicha volcano that last erupted in 1666. Although Quito is very close to the equator, its altitude gives it a very cool climate with an average of about 55 degrees Fahrenheit, so fairly cool. Bananas grow so well in Ecuador's tropical climate that it has become the world's leading banana producer. The country's other main exports include petroleum, coffee, cocoa, and shrimp. Ecuador also produces more balsa wood than any other country in the world. Guayaquil, Ecuador's largest city, is the country's chief port and center of trade. Quito is Ecuador's textile center. Other industrial products include art pieces made of leather, wood, gold, and silver. Although Ecuador is among South America's smallest and poorest countries, it has one of the fastest growing populations in the world. And then lastly, let's look at Bolivia, a country with two capitals. Bolivia, which is about the size of California and Texas put together, which is huge by the way, is landlocked. That is, it has no seacoast. Many Amazon tributaries drain the country, however, giving it a water route to the Atlantic Ocean. The Andes Mountains form an uncrossable barrier in the west. Bolivia's economy relies on her large forests and deposits of tin and petroleum. Most of the people are Indian farmers who live in the valleys between the Andes Mountains. These Indians have lived in the same area for hundreds of years, and the soil is worn out from farming. Although eastern Bolivia is very fertile, the Indians do not want to leave their old homes. The official capital of Bolivia is Sucre, but most of the government buildings are in La Paz, giving the country two capitals. La Paz, located near Lake Titicaca, is the world's highest capital city. Lake Titicaca lies on the borders between Peru and Bolivia, 12,500 feet above sea level, surrounded by the Andes Mountains. It is the highest navigable lake in the world. It is about 110 miles long, 35 miles wide at its widest point, over 600 feet deep in some places. The Peruvian and Bolivian Indians who live near Lake Titicaca are famous for their Totora reed boats, unsinkable boats made with reeds taken from the shore of the lake and tied together with grass twine, which you can see a picture of one on page 325. Lake Titicaca is known for its changeable and often dangerous weather. Storm clouds can rumble down the mountain sides and in moments stir the calm water into 9-foot tall waves. The lake is also rumored to contain sea monsters. When Jacques Cousteau, the famous French underwater explorer, investigated the lake, he did not find a sea monster, but he did discover a variety of frog that can almost grow a foot in length. Approximately 1 billion of these frogs live in the bottom of Lake Titicaca. Because Lake Titicaca is located 2.5 miles above sea level, the air there contains less oxygen than the air at lower elevations. If you were to visit Lake Titicaca, you might become dizzy and nauseated, and you would tire faster than usual because of the differences in oxygen saturation. Fires have never been a big problem there because fires need oxygen to burn. The Indians of the region have a much larger chest and a lung capacity than most people, allowing them to take in more air in one breath. They also have up to 1 quart more blood and 1 million more red blood cells than people at lower elevations. And that concludes today's lesson. We're going to cover more South American countries come next week on May the 4th, and we'll be through with this pretty soon, guys. But once again, make sure you do the comp check on page 325, questions 1 through 3. And you guys have an awesome weekend, and I will see you soon.